Hi, thanks for visiting my YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to look at a case study for profiling institutional investors for real estate fundraising. And if you're looking to raise capital for your project, this is a great video for you to watch. So this video highlights a rare and unique database of institutional grade real estate investor contacts, and it's for select clients only. I'm going to run through the case study of how I profile and create an investor target list for a real estate group that's looking to raise $100 million in the US. So this is custom investor targeting strategy and database overview, and it's to support a US-based client undertaking a $100 million fundraise, and I develop a fully customized global investor database designed to align high-quality capital sources with institutional-grade real estate opportunities in the United States. So the database consolidates more than 14,000 qualified institutional and private investors across multiple asset classes and geographies, providing a tiered framework for capital engagement. Now, this proprietary structure identifies direct key contacts across pension funds, insurance companies, endowments, family offices, and sovereign entities, ensuring a precision targeting and controlled investor access within each segment. So this case study included selecting qualified investors in the following categories for an intensive 7-month capital raise. So it's not just all about the database, it has to do with the whole structure, the planning, how we're going to go out to these particular targets. So it's quite comprehensive. First of all, it's institutional capital sources such as real estate funds, sovereign wealth funds, pension and insurance funds, endowments, and corporate investors. Then we also take a look at private capital networks, global family offices, that's in the US, Middle East, Europe, Asia, Canada, and the UK. And it also includes a UAE ultra high net worth investors database that is really only available to select clients. We also look at financial allocators and intermediaries. These are asset managers, wealth managers, RIAs, and investment companies. So here's a snapshot of the final database. This took me about 1 week to compile. Again, it goes through a large amount of contacts and data that you're going to see coming up on the spreadsheet. But this is really a focused campaign, and this is really where the money is right here. Because at the end of the day, time is money, and for this particular group looking to raise 100 million, you really have to have the right targets in front of you. So you can see that I've got real estate funds in there. These are 2022 to 2025. These are groups that have already raised the capital in many cases, and they're ready to deploy them, or they're ready to deploy all the way up into 2029, so that it has a long runway. We look pretty well global: USA, Canada, Middle East, Asia, UK, and Europe. I also have sovereign wealth funds in here. Then we look at the family investment office databases that I have. These are all institutional databases, all updated to the first quarter of 2025, and they include the Middle East family offices, USA, UK, Asia, Canada, Europe. So we basically copy the same thing we do on the funds. We also look at insurance and pension funds, endowments and foundations, asset managers, wealth managers, and on the bottom here we've got RIAs, corporate investors, and a very rare UAE ultra high net worth investor database. So you can see the direct key targets over on the right hand side. And we also have core messaging. So these are the core messages that we're going to try to create with our outreach letters, so that this is a very customized campaign. This is not a campaign where we're going to do a lot of bulk emails. We're going to do some, but most of this is going to be stuff that I'm going to be doing one-on-one. So when I take a look at the investor mix, here's really where we are. So the real estate funds take up 7%, but that's a very, very qualified and cash ready, investor ready 7%. We look at institutional capital sources. Again, long-term capital allocation, yield stability, diversification, that's about 38%. If you notice over on the funds, I also make sure that the funds invest in real estate, core plus value added, and it has to be US real estate. So again, we're really drilling down into real focus for those lists. Family offices, very much the same, but this is very cross-border real estate participation and co-investment. A lot of these contacts, we're really looking at the Asia and the Middle East segment. They're an area that this client is really wanting to grow. They've really got good penetration in the US, so there's really a focus on the family offices to pick up some new investment. And financial intermediaries, these are 18%. Client portfolio allocation to institutional grade US real estate. And these participants will probably be able to come in at lower investment values. And then on the last, it's 7% of the ultra high net worth investors. This is a very, very balanced campaign. My sense is that you're going to get really good uh, response from all areas, but certainly from the real estate funds and the family offices. I think it's going to be great due to the platform that this particular client is offering. So let's take a look at a bit more detail of the 7-month marketing campaign. Now, the first month of the campaign is actually going to be the prep, so it's going to be more DD related, making sure the outreach letters are all refined because, again, it's going to be very customized. We'll probably have 8 or 9 versions of an outreach letter. We're going to make sure that the marketing material is very fine-tuned as well. We're going to have a teaser. We're going to have a full brochure. We're also going to have a data room. The whole idea is we really don't want to load up the emails with attachments. So this is basically going to be a outreach where we're going to find out if they're interested, and then it will be a second follow-up to those parties. We're also going to make sure that the financials are really fine-tuned, the PPM as well. So it's going to take at least a month, maybe even a little bit more, to get that fine-tuned before we hit the 1-month campaign here. You can see I've got target sectors, so each month or phase is going to have outreach to a number of different groups. We are going to do some bulk for the insurance groups and for the uh, for some of the other categories as well, mainly the pension funds. So basically, insurance and pension funds, we're really going to go out to on a bulk basis because they're less targeted for us, and we really just want to investigate what their needs are. But most of this is going to be very targeted, and you can see on the outreach emails, each month we're going to be running close to 5,000, 6,000 on average, and then it tears off as we get down to the bottom. We really want to upload or have the first 2 months really be heavy on Asia and Middle East, because then we're going to be able to focus on how we do the campaign for the rest of them. You can see the strategic purpose on the right hand side is just going to guide us a little bit when it comes to how we want to create our message. So everything is going to be tailored, and this is going to help guide the client and myself as we go through the exercise of reaching out to these key core groups. So let's take a look at the actual spreadsheet that we use to create the smaller sets, and it's going to give you a bit more detail on the work that's involved. But first, a key database disclosure. I like to add this to all the videos. Now, my extensive database library provides hundreds of thousands of global contacts, typically including profiles, emails, and websites, although not all details are complete. It's primarily compiled and updated from 2021 to 2025, with most of the updates in the last 2 years. Now, this corporate resource may include contacts whose roles have changed. It's designed as an excellent starting point for outreach. It's best leveraged and continually refined by organizations with dedicated data teams. In other words, it's not for to be spammed. This is really refined databases. Now, this database comprises a blend of individuals and companies, each with distinct investment criteria and operating conditions, so there's no guarantee your approach will be favorably received. Note, this database is available to corporate or institutional grade groups only, no personal sales. Okay, now we're over on the spreadsheet part. I'm going to show you 2 separate spreadsheets, each which has 2 sheets involved. This is first the investment groups, companies, different firms that are involved in the fundraising. They could be hedge funds, they could be family offices, they could be wealth managers, they could be government agencies, corporate investors, uh, investment banks, you name it. So you can see there's 28,000 of them, and I go back up to the top here. You can see you're going to get the firm name, the background. Well, this is actually the source database that I used to create the smaller ones. And in fact, any of my databases always start with these large sources. You can get the city and the country, and then as I scroll over to the right hand side, you're going to get more information. You're going to get fund size, you're going to get information about sectors and preferences, and then if we go to the contacts part of it, let's take a look at how many contacts are in this particular database. Okay, so now we're over on the key contacts part of the database, and you can see we've got a little over 117,000 key contacts that we're able to filter and choose from depending on what we are looking for. Again, this is for the $100 million real estate fundraising case study. Uh, and because it's global, you're going to be able to take a look at city, country. You're going to be able to look at the investor, the firm type. Again, they could be corporate investors. It could be asset managers, wealth managers. You're going to get their name, their role, and their title, so you can create some really good filtering possibilities with that, especially if you want to drill down into the investment team or corporate. You're also getting the asset class that that particular person works on, and then of course their emails as well. So that is the investment company, investment groups that are part of the filtering, and this is again looking at the firms. Now let's go to the second database that talks mainly about funds that have been raised from 2022 and beyond. Okay, now we're over on the funds database. So this is funds launched from 2022 to 2025. That gives us a long runway, probably into 2029 for fundraising. Again, these are databases that I use to create the smaller, more specialized custom databases for my clients. So again, looking at around 24,800 funds. We go back up to the top here. And you can see you've got the name, the background, the year inception, asset class that they're looking at. Again, for this particular case, we're looking purely at real estate. We can also look at private equity because private equity also delves into the real estate sector. We get to look at their strategy. We get to look at their primary region, their status, and then more information as we scroll along to the right hand side about what the size could be and what the core targets are. Again, the focus here is purely on real estate, and this is the one of the first databases that we use when we're compiling that list. You saw it on my other chart there that we've got USA, we've got Canada, we've got Europe, we've got Asia, and then Middle East as our main targets. Now I'm going to show you the contacts part of this particular database. Okay, now we're on the last part. So this is the contacts page of the fund database. So this is going to give us a wide range of potential contacts to reach out to or to use our campaign targeting. And you can see there's around 400,000 on the bottom. We scroll back up to the top here. So you can see here we've got the fund manager name, the firm type, again, what type of firm it's going to be, and the name, the title, the asset class they're responsible for. You're going to get their email as well. So it complements the other databases quite well, because from this particular one, we're going to have a wide range of people that we're going to be able to reach out to, not only on the funds, but the investment companies and other investment groups that are focusing on real estate. So it works perfectly. Now, I'm also going to go now to the website so you can take a look at a particular article that I wrote that talks about why this particular database could be worth up to $10,000. Okay, now we're over on the Dubai Investors List website. So I've included this so that you can see where I now highlight all my databases for all the platforms that I'm on to help clients select the one that's right for them. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit here to get to the article that's basically related to the real estate fundraising database that you've just seen. Now, there's a reason my custom real estate fundraising database highlighted below, and the one you've just seen on the video, is valued at nearly $10,000. It's not public, it's powerful, and only a handful of my clients ever gain access. Now, the large spreadsheets that you've seen, I can create real estate databases that are what I call raw. In other words, if it says real estate, then I can put together for you. In fact, there's one on my website that you can purchase right now. But when it comes to something that's more custom, like the one you've just seen, that's where it has a much higher value. Now, the value is not just in the database. For example, how can anyone value an investor database at $10,000? Well, it's simple. When you're raising 100 million in equity, precision matters. This isn't just a database, it's a fully refined fundraising strategy executed over a 7-month program as part of my exclusive retainer package. In other words, I help the clients with all the strategy and reaching out to those contacts. So it's a strategic tool designed to save months of wasted outreach and put you in front of active, verified investors who are already deploying capital in many cases. Let others chase those $100 databases that are scraped from the web and sold by low quality list providers. In fact, I get approached by many people looking for those type of databases, and I say, listen, I don't deal with this particular clientele. And anybody that tries to acquire a database that's scraped off the internet is basically just throwing their money away. These are institutional grade databases that are proven, credible, and updated, and you just can't get that from a $100, $200 list in most cases. Now, this is important, especially when you're already securing meetings and advancing towards 25 million, 50 million, and $100 million in funding. So that's why the added value of not only getting the database, but getting an outreach program and the strategy could be the best thing that you've ever had when it comes to raising capital. You can try the shortcuts without a doubt. A lot of my clients do that. Very few of them are going to come up and say, listen, I want the full package, because they really feel that they can get value out of a smaller database. I'm telling you, you're just going to be spinning your wheels. So this is something you might want to consider if you're actually in the 25 to $100 million funding range. For more information, contact DubaiInvestorsList.com. That's DubaiInvestorsList.com. Please like, share, and subscribe.